If you think Australia loves getting on the piss, Singapore's just raised the stakes. Craft brewery Brewworks has teamed up with the country's national water agency to turn sewage into brewage, with delicious recycled wastewater transformed into even more delicious beer.
Oh, is it? Oh, that... And I was just joking.
We had a collaboration with PUB, which stands for Public Utilities Board, to kind of showcase the quality of this recycled water and drive some public education around how good recycled water can be.
The Brewworks bet on the Singapore pour seems to have paid off. The first batch of blonde ale hit the market in April and has now sold out on tap, with retail stocks expected to disappear from shelves by the end of the month.
The style that we chose to do it in is also very friendly to the water. It's a soft style, very easier, for our climate. So it kind of accentuates the flavor. Generally, people can't tell. So it changes people's mind, a little bit.
But Singapore isn't the first to try this. In 2018, one Swedish brewer collaborated with beer giant Carlsberg to craft a sustainable Pilsner. And in 2020, Canada's University of Calgary backed a recycled ale.
To be able to take water directly from the sewer system, essentially, and recondition it to be made into a beer was very challenging.
So if it's good enough for the rest of the world, would Australia, the spiritual home of beer, be willing to suck it up, literally? Probably not. Despite our incessant dryness, Australia isn't historically great at embracing recycled wastewater. Back in 2006, the drought-ridden Queensland city of Toowoomba, afraid of being labelled Poo-Woomba, overwhelmingly voted down a water recycling proposal.
What we find is areas that haven't had that conversation have a natural resistance, and people have what we call the yuck factor response. But once we start talking about recycled water and why that's a sensible strategy for drinking water, we find across the world that attitudes change.
The UN says more than 2 billion people lack access to safe drinking water, and with the climate forecast not looking too rosy, humanity will need to move fast if we're to preserve our most precious natural resource, booze.
The benefit is that you make your existing water supply go further. Instead of using the water once, you use it a second time, potentially a third time.
So maybe it's time to allay our beer fears and embrace the drink's inclusion in the circle of life.
Gives a whole new meaning to getting shit-faced, right?
Oh, yes, Ezzy!
Hey! Hello.
Totally, I would try it.
You'd do it?
Yeah.
So like the scientists say, it involves disinfecting sewage with ultraviolet light and passing the liquid through advanced membranes to remove contaminant particles. But I'd use lots of big words too if I'd just drunk piss.
We've got to kind of get used to drinking recycled water, though, don't we?
I suppose maybe it's just coming. It feels kind of unfair, but I suppose if it's what we've got to do...
I know. Anyway...